men are specially invited for this life-altering meeting that will like prepare you for the next level and push you to maximize your greatest potential. Happens tomorrow at Phil's, located at Twickenham Park in Spanish Town. 2,500 gets you in, and they start at 9. Also, Tuesday, November 7, 2023 is the 8th Sustainable Energy Forum. It's an electric vehicle awareness event that takes place at the AC Hotel located in Kingston. Do you want to? Well, I'm thinking of, I think I would drive an electric vehicle.
You would?
I would. I've driven a Tesla, like it. It's really good. I wish I could drive one here. I'm not interested in any kind of is it right on drive?
Left
hand drive, right?
Left.
I prefer a right hand drive vehicle.
Don't they have right?
Yeah, I guess they do, but you have to order it, and it might be. Anyway, I'm gonna go check.
Yeah.
What? I'm not sure I'll be able to afford a Tesla in Jamaica, but I'd still want to see. I would drive an electric vehicle. It doesn't have to be a Tesla. Person is on.
We got the yes.
Yeah, but so this event is happening. It's an EV awareness event, and I'm gonna try and pass by. Of course, if you want to know more about our upcoming events, you can go check that out at SpurOpen.com. It's SpurOpen.com is a Jamaican online platform designed to simplify online payments for charities, churches, event organizers, and micro business owners. To register your events, go to SpurOpen.com/events. Click the button that says "Get Started Now." Registration is free, and your event doesn't even have to be a paid event. Stay with. We're gonna go back to Carleen. Carleen Black, who is the scientific officer of the earthquake unit at the University of the West Indies. I'm going to talk earthquakes. Good evening, Carleen. Is she hearing me?
You're muted, Carleen.
Hello, Carleen.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we're hearing you loud and
clear.
clear.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You?
I am good. I survived Monday, and I'm good. How many more phone calls did you get on Monday than usual?
Well, we didn't really get that many more because quite often persons tend to call the odd PEM or the radio stations, so that frees us up to get the work done.
There you go. You were saved to to focus on your work. All right. So we had a 5.6 magnitude on Monday, but someone said to me that when you hear 5.6 and like, okay, 5.6 versus a 6.6 for argument's sake, that a 6.6 is sometimes 100 times worse than a 5.6. Is that so?
Well, it's more 32 times.
Ooh, not quite 100. 32 times.
No, because it's not a linear scale. It's a log scale, based on log scale.
That sounds like you're speaking math, and math is
yes.
not really
It's a log scale. So all of those log things that we did in primary school.
I don't even remember that, Carleen. I get but if you could give me like a practical example. So you're saying that the a 6 point whatever earthquake is not like just a notch up from a 5. It's like it's multiple times.
So it would
multiple times worse.
Between 3 and 4 times worse.
Between 3 and 4 times. What? So you're saying, so those of us who experience this shaking, this sort of aggressive, gradual, the way that this earthquake was, if it was a larger one, we would have experienced that 3 or 4 times what we got.
So if it was a 6.
If it was a 6.
Yeah.
It would have been 3 or 4 times what we saw. So people who thought they were going to die because they were in buildings that were swaying or the lights going out and all that, they would have been further traumatized, is what you're saying.
Unfortunately, yes. But
oh my man. Thankfully, we are where we are, eh?
Yes, we are.
And it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
No. We have to be grateful that we do have good building practices, because most of our buildings stood the test.
Good.
Because with modern day construction, if the buildings are built to code, the proper planning process and everything, then they should all have withstood this earthquake quite well, with most of them without getting any cracks.
Okay. So what causes an earthquake, Carleen, without getting too mathy?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Well, if you think of the surface that we're on, the surface of the Earth,
Right.
that there's a sort of fluid portion called the
Mm-hmm.
magma, from volcanoes and so on.
Right.
So the crust floats on top of that. And because there's always magma coming up, from the volcanoes and from areas like the mid-Atlantic ridge to give you new seafloor, it causes the crust to break up into what we call plates. And then these plates move against each other. And because the Earth is more or less spherical, they can't go off into infinity. So they're just going in circles, continuously moving against each other. And that movement is what we feel as earthquake.
Hmm. Okay, but that sounds like it's something that the Earth is doing naturally. Is it? Is that like
Right, right. It's a
a natural part
natural,
of its own health?
exactly. It's a natural process because in areas such as the mid-Atlantic ridge, where you have magma coming up to form new seafloor, which is what would have spread Africa and South America apart to create the Atlantic. In those areas, you
Mm-hmm.
have magma coming up
Right.
and creating new crust, but the sphere or the surface of the Earth is quite finite. So that new rock has to be pushing the old rock somewhere. So sometimes you would have areas where they collide at the opposite end, and we would get either mountain building if both plates are of equal strength, and you'd get mountain building like the Alps and the Himalayas.
Mm.
And
Oh.
if one is stronger, then you would get subduction zones, which give you the very big earthquakes that we see in Asia. That area is called the Ring of Fire because the subduction zones also give you volcanoes.
Wow. Well, it's fascinating. I mean, we mostly think of earthquakes as things that are deadly and dangerous, but what you're saying, in fact, an earthquake, I suppose they're happening all the time because but
Right.
we don't normally feel. But we talk about like the magnitude or intensity of an earthquake. Those are words that we tend to use. That I guess that helps to determine what was the state of the movement. What's the difference between the
Right,
magnitude and
right.
the intensity of an earthquake?
Okay, the magnitude is what we measure with the instrument. So that's more accurate, and we can do calculations with that. The intensity is a guide as to what persons would have experienced,
Mm.
because in the old days there weren't any instruments, and so you would have to go by the what you experienced, what you saw, you know, um, whether there were landslides or tsunamis or houses crumbled or things like that. That is what you use put together to give intensity. So we would have felt something in the range of an intensity 5, pardon me, an intensity 7,
Right.
which means that we would expect our modern day buildings, if they're well constructed, to withstand this shaking completely. And the older structures, like some of the concrete nog structures and the brick structures, if they're not well maintained, or if just from construction they were very weak, we would expect most of the damage to be with those structures.
Okay. What is so in your work and in your based on what you know, what's the biggest earthquake that has ever been recorded through it's seismology. What's the people who
Seismologists,
seismologists, right?
right?
What's the
The biggest would have been Chile. I can't remember the date exactly, but I think it would have been 1964 thereabout,
and what was that one? What was
and
the
that one was
intensity or magnitude?
9.5.
9. Wow. And
Yes,
what
because
was
Chile is part
the
of the Ring of Fire, because
right?
those subduction zone earthquakes, those are the ones that give you the very big magnitude,
What
so
what was the extent of that one? Either intensity or magnitude. Do you remember?
it was magnitude. There were instruments at that time because it would have been the 60s, so they were already instruments. It's just that Jamaica would not have
Had
had
an
the
instrument yet?
right,
Got it. Got it.
yeah. So there was a lot of death and destruction.
Wow.
you
Yes,
know.
that sounds like a nine. Because if we're saying a five could have brought such scare to people, and you're saying a six would perhaps be three or four times.
Right. So a
Is that with the
9.5.
magnitude and intensity of
No, we're talking about magnitude now.
magnitude? No, because we can measure it. So
Yes.
you're saying it would
Right.
have been so a nine seems like it would be pretty catastrophic.
Yes, it's pretty catastrophic,
Mm,
and of course, the amount of shaking also depends on how deep the earthquake occurred.
so
Because when we talk about epicenter, we're only talking about the point on the surface of the earth. But
right,
the earthquakes happen deep
deep
within the
within the earth,
crust.
deep within the
Right.
crust, because someone who was giving me some information was talking about the fact that the earthquake would have lasted for about 30 seconds. Obviously, most of us didn't feel the 30 seconds unless you were out in St. Mary, I understand. Or is that Port Maria?
Well, the epicenter was in Portland, so yes,
If you
St.
were out there,
Mary
you
and those
probably would have felt
areas would have felt most of the
30
shaking.
seconds of it.
Yeah.
By the time it got to us here in Kingston, some of that, the length of time that we would have felt the earthquake would be less than 30 seconds. But
Not
overall,
necessarily. Not
no, okay.
necessarily. Because you see, the amount of shaking you feel and how strong you feel it also depends on the foundation that your the type of soil or rock that your building is on.
Got it. Got it.
So if you have very strong limestone or solid rock, such as you'd find, say, up in Stony Hill,
Hmm.
then they are not going to feel as much shaking as us down here, in Kingston on the Ligani Plain, because this is a lot of loose sediment.
Got it. Oh,
Less
wow.
consolidated, the more shaking.
So, is there a special time of year? We have a hurricane season, so we know that between that time, according to the experts, we're likely to have weather conditions that result in hurricanes and so on.
Right.
How about the earthquake? Is there any kind of special time when that's more likely? Since the Earth is always moving and it's a natural part of its own health that the movements are happening, is there a time based on your studies that they're more likely to be moving in a way that will cause us to have earthquakes?
Well, unfortunately, no.
You cannot.
If you want to think of it in terms of season, then the season is all year long.
Ah,
Yeah.
Karen, I give me this big toll on just all year long. They can happen at any time. Can you predict an
Exactly.
earthquake? Can
No,
you, as a seismologist, well, you are scientific officer in the earthquake unit, is there a way to any kind of what you call this now? What's the word I'm looking for? Any early signs that the next, in the same way that you can tell me that if an earthquake of a particular magnitude could lead to a tsunami, can you tell me if an earthquake is likely based on something else?
not really. Sometimes you do get what we call swarms, so you get a lot of earthquakes earlier on, but even those don't always give you a very big earthquake afterwards. So you only know when it hits.
When it's on you,
Right, when it hits.
when it hits, when it's happening is when you know, oh, an earthquake
Right.
is happening now, and this is what we should do. Um, I feel like if I ask you this question, I'm gonna get an answer that I probably should already know. But how do you feel the awareness level of earthquakes and their impact on us in Jamaica, and what we should do in terms of an earthquake? What would you feel that the awareness level is as a society?
Well, as a society, I would say it's a lot better than it would have been, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
But I think persons need to, pay more attention, because I've worked quite often with the ODPEM for many years now. And, we do have sensitization. We go out into schools, we go to businesses, other institutions, and we try to spread the word. It's even in the primary school curriculum. But
Right.
some persons, they just don't want to think about earthquakes. So you tell them something and it just goes in one ear and comes out the other. And unfortunately, many of them, especially those who work in some of these multi-story buildings, sometimes when they have fire drills or even earthquake drills, they don't participate.
No, right? Just set
You
your
know,
camp
they
and go
sneak
in.
off, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the problem. They sneak off, so they don't know what to do. Or
Right.
even if they know what to do, by the time they stop to think about it, the earthquake is 10, 15 seconds on them and they could get hurt. And because of that, they panic. But if they had been practicing the drills, and the best would be to have drills multiple times for the year
Mm-hmm.
so that, it's second nature. It's like when you're learning to drive, you're nervous initially and you make mistakes and so on. But over time, it becomes reflex. You can
Yes,
be
it
doing
does.
other things, thinking about other things, and you're driving safely.
Yes, yes, yes.
Similarly,
Correct.
if persons would just practice the drills, you know, listen to the information when they get it and, put that in place in their homes because, like I said, most of our buildings, would withstand a six even,
Mm.
because we do build properly here in Jamaica, except for those people who take shortcuts,
Right.
you
For the
know,
most part, you're saying we,
for
we
the most part,
properly. But
we build
has
properly.
Jamaica has experienced about 8 earthquakes since this year. Is that number correct?
Ah, no, 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 no. We have experienced many more. I don't have the last count right now, but I can tell you that we get hundreds of earthquake every year. It's just that maybe only eight or fewer of them are felt.
Got it.
But we get lots of earthquake all the time. As a matter of fact, for this 5.6, we've been having quite a few aftershocks, but most of them are so small nobody feels them. You
Mm.
know, I don't have the exact number for that either, but I'm sure we're at 100 by now.
Well, earlier we were talking about up to at least 70, according to some new report. But
Right.
maybe as you said, us not feeling them doesn't mean they're not happening. And so perhaps we've had
Exactly.
over 100 aftershocks. Where can people find information about earthquake tips and things that you can do if an earthquake comes, or if if it's happening and you're aware of it? Where can people find
Well,
information?
well, the best source for that would be the ODPEM. I
Mhm.
don't have their website available, but they do have a website, and persons can either call them or visit their websites, and they can download brochures and other information. They can request training, assistance with drills, that sort of thing. Even businesses can get training, and they do encourage businesses to have continuity plans and so forth. On the earthquake unit website, which we are part of the University of the West Indies, you would find things that would be more scientific in nature. There will be some guidance as to preparation, but it's mostly telling you about the historical earthquakes. You can see a list of the historical earthquakes. You can learn about what is an earthquake. You can look at an interactive map, to see all the earthquakes for the year, that sort of thing. But in terms of preparation and steps to take, drills, so forth, the ODPEM is the best source of information.
Thank you so much. Carleen Black, who is the scientific officer at the Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies, talking to us about and educating us about earthquakes in Jamaica and their use. You heard her say that the ODPEM is a entity, trusted entity for information about how to prepare for earthquakes. Carleen, thank you for the work you do there in the unit. Keep watching over what's going on in Jamaica and providing that useful information so we can be prepared.
Thank you for having me. Have
You're
a good
welcome.
evening.
And to you. That
Thank you.
takes care of Engage for today. Engage is your drive time entertainment and lifestyle choice on the family station Love 101. Thanks, Davio and Shivani, for taking care of things on the other side of the microphone. Davio for producing, Shivani for what do you do? You just be present.
Okay, that works because if I'm not here, then you know what it is.
What's going on for the weekend?
What's going on this weekend?
You don't know.
I don't know what's going on this
What were you
weekend.
showing me there? Is it some
Well,
event was going on?
graduation's going on.
Oh, you will
Congrats to
graduation.
Kim Levy, one of our members here,
Okay,
graduated a few moments ago.
good for her.
Yeah.
Nice.
Congrats, Kim.
What program is she in?
I think it's IMC.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes. So congrats to
nice.
Kimberly
Yes,
and my
yes.
friend Aldine Williams as well.
Coming to the end of a university program is quite an accomplishment, as you know.
It is.
And so to cap that off with a
Yes.
graduation ceremony, although the whole thing is very annoying with the gown, and
Oh gosh.
but it's worth the celebration, and
It
especially
is.
for the folks who will attend,
Yeah.
those who have been part of your journey and so on. It's really nice.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really nice. So
It's like I did it.
yeah,
I
You know,
really
I'm
did
done.
this. I'm done.
and the fight and
Yeah.
the stress over homework and different
Assignments,
assignments and group work
Group
and
work.
not having enough money and wondering if you're going to be the
Yeah.
and and the whole thing
And tests and exams.
and but the good thing, as I said, the whole bittersweet, because then there are lifelong friends.
Yeah.
There are these unforgettable what do you call it now, not just personality but there are these life defining moments that are character building. You
Yeah.
have these character building defining moments that happen as you make that transition from high school to now, proper adult. You're done with
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that initial course of study, especially if it's like a first degree, and then now you go out to contribute to the world, or at least go get yourself a job and
Yeah.
and pay back some of that money. But it can be, I think everyone who can do it should do it.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for your
You just master.
actually
it. Yeah.
just even character development.